what the haters talking about.
What's up, family? Standing outside of Houston's medical examiner's office where the body of slain police officer Sergeant Christopher Brewster lay, Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo has some choice words for a few Republican lawmakers. In fact, he has some choice words for all of them, but he called out a few. Mainly, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and a couple of do-nothing senators out of Texas by the name of Ted Cruz and John Cornyn. He was offended because of their failure to pass the Violence Against Women's Act, which lapsed earlier this year. He says that these guys care more about the NRA's feelings than they do victims of gun violence. He took it personal because his sergeant was allegedly killed by an armed abusive boyfriend of a Houston woman as he responded to a domestic violence call. A provision of the Violence Against Women Act passed in the House. It would have closed the so-called boyfriend loophole. Federal law currently prohibits felons and domestic abusers living with their victims from buying guns, but abusive dating partners living elsewhere can still purchase firearms. The chief said the bill stalled because the NRA doesn't like the fact that we want to take firearms out of the hands of boyfriends that abuse their girlfriends. He added, "You're either here for women and our children and our daughters and our sisters and our aunts, or you're here for the NRA." He says that if the law had been enacted, if they had been doing what they were supposed to be doing, had they passed that law, that perhaps the guy would not have had access to a gun and his officer would be alive today. And then he went on and talking about children and women being protected, the aunts and our sisters, and so on and so on. He's saying that the Republicans care nothing about those people. People are victims of gun violence. That is his belief. Now, I can understand why the chief was so passionate. After all, it's a brotherhood. But I have never seen the chief that passionate about the loss of life when one of the citizens of Houston was killed, murdered. I've never seen that before. You see, I just don't think that an officer's life is more valuable than anybody else's life. I think if police officers were that passionate about the loss of life when it came to every citizen, we wouldn't have as much crime as we do. And that would be much more respect for police officers all around the country. But here's a situation when a police officer gets killed, all of the cops just forget what they're doing. They just drop everything they're doing. They be in the middle of it writing a ticket. Oh, drop it. Ooh, police officer got killed. Take off. And I don't think that's right. I think that you should have more respect for the person who's writing your check. I'm just looking for a little equality. I'm not saying that the chief was wrong to react the way he did. God knows we need some type of gun control, but I don't know if gun control was actually the solution here. Because here's the thing. Gun control only only works for people who wants to abide by the law. If you don't want to abide by the law, there is nothing that's going to prevent you from getting a gun and shooting someone. Nothing. This is why I am actually a gun advocate. I think that everybody should have a right to bear arms. You got to be able to protect yourself, because Lord knows that these other folks is protecting themselves. They're not finna give up their guns. I don't know why people are so readily to give up their guns. I don't understand it. I don't see why. I don't see what's exciting about it. I don't see how they don't see all of this madness that's going on and say, you know what, there's a lot of madness going on. I'm not being protected already. I'm afraid of the police. And you know what? I need to just give up these guns and everything will be okay. Nah, man, giving up your guns is not the answer to protection. It is not the answer to safety. It is not the answer to your family's safety. You must be able to protect yourself and your family, yourself at the minimum. So I'm not with that. I can appreciate the chief's passion, but I need to see that passion when everyday citizens are killed also. I'm not talking about the gangsters. I'm talking about good-natured people. People who are victims of gun violence. Innocent people. This happens to every single day. I need to see that same kind of passion. That's what I want to see. Now, I don't like Mitch McConnell. I don't like Ted Cruz. I don't like John Cornyn. So I could easily just jumped on this video and been like, yeah. But I'm going to keep it real. I'm a yeah, because I don't like him. And I do believe that he's right, that they do care more about the NRA than they do victims of gun violence. But I also would like to see that same type of energy displayed when the people who stroke the chief's check become a victim of gun violence. No more talk.
What the haters talking about?